ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Connecting Communities. My name is Brian, and we are here today with Brian Seim. Brian, hello, hello, hello. How are you today?
I am awesome, Brian. How are you doing?
I am doing phenomenal as well. Thank you for asking. Now, before we dive in to Brian's story, I do want to make sure that we take an opportunity to thank our sponsors, which is Mike CSCS Fitness. We appreciate Mike Frick and his sponsorship, as well as dads, our parents, too. Now, on that note, Brian, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's start with a couple things that I know about you. Okay. You are a believer, a husband, father, coach, software entrepreneur, a sailor. That's one of those tricky words. A sailor. Oh, sailor. There it is. A sailor, a skier, a avalanche controller. I want to know about that. A mountain biker, an outdoor adventure enthusiast. You're giving me all these words over here. I've never had to do all this. Achiever, a learner, an individualizer, significance finder, and focuser. Did I miss a word?
Holy cow. I think you went right down the list.
I did. It was a tongue twister. So tell me about some of these.
Well, you asked about the avalanche forecaster. Back in a previous life, or maybe two lives ago, I was a professional ski patroller. And part of our job was avalanche forecasting. My
Okay.
favorite part was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning with a bag full of bombs on my back and climbing up the peaks of the mountain and dropping them here and there to start avalanches.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you have any videos of this or any pictures that you kind of kept for some personal usage?
I wonder. I haven't looked back at that age in a while. That's like right in the middle of college. That was my detour for 2 years.
Okay. So the 1900s is what I'm
Yeah, back
hearing,
in the
right? Okay.
1900s.
So there were a couple other ones that just kind of stood out from for me. Um, Significance finder, individualizer, and a
Yeah.
software entrepreneur.
So the last four are really oh shoot, I'm losing it. The strengths finder, the strengths
Okay.
finder assessment. So significance is I'm really looking to have and hold a significance in what I do. I don't want to do insignificant stuff. I don't want to waste my time. Raise my hand. I'm really good at wasting my time.
We
I'm
all
really
are.
good at doing the wrong things, but I want to try to be significant.
Yeah, I
Individualizer,
always I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
go
I always
ahead.
say do things with purpose and do things with intent. Those are the two words that I like to grab. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose. You're just doing it to do it, and that's just a waste of time. At least make it have purpose. So I can understand the significance. Now, what
I like
about no, go
I
ahead.
like your words for it because when I heard significance, I'm like, what? I need to be a braggart. I need to be important and significant. But the description kind of gets it where you were doing
Got it.
something of value, doing
Crazy on
something
how the power of
contributing.
words and their
Yeah,
meaning and their hierarchy on what they actually mean is just mind blowing. Now, tell me about the software in entrepreneur.
software entrepreneur. That's a sad story
Oh,
in a
oh, we
way,
don't want
but
to hear sad.
I love to build software. And one of the worst things software engineers do is we go off and build things that we think somebody will like without testing it, marketing it, doing some pre-work. But we did do a successful product years ago with Business Legal Lifecycle, and it's basically a online quiz to assess your business and its legal health and help you get the right things in place as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or a small business to protect and guard your company. So I have a talent at coaching and talking with people through designing or not designing and maybe building or not building a software. So really getting into the weeds and really Cody Sanchez says it the best is like simple, dumb stuff is where the money is. And
So
if you can
true.
get a software in a simple, dumb place where it goes back to what you said before, adds value, then it's a good thing, a good build to build out.
Okay.
So really
That
coaching people through, take your idea and take it to Brian and the other guy and the guy down the street and other people maybe in an industry and say, would you pay ahead to have this built? And if you did, what would it look like to build it right? And then you're like preset with customers and
right.
kind of going you're going off to the races with something that has customers ahead of time.
That makes it convenient. Speaking of convenient, you are from, I love this, Hermantown. I love that. Hermantown, Minnesota, right?
That's right.
Now, are you still there, Brian? Because you are a husband, right? With 5 children, if memory serves me correct.
Right. Husband with 5 children. We're in Hermantown, Minnesota. 3 of the kids are here, and 2 of them are one's over that way a couple miles, and one's over that way a couple miles. So they've flew the nest.
Tell me something about Hermanville. Was it, I don't remember.
Hermantown.
Hermantown, Minnesota, that we would not know. What are you known for?
Um, we have all these little tiny brick houses from I don't know 1900s that are like people live in them. A lot of
Oh,
them
wow.
have
Okay.
additions on them, and they're very historical. It's kind of a plot, Latin lot, not plot and township and range. That's the word I'm looking for. It's 6 miles by 6 miles, except for the part that International Airport cut out, and it's just laid out like the traditional American design of
Hmm.
that. And it's very woodsy. We live in the center of downtown, and we have 3 acres of woods. Our next door neighbor has 46 acres of woods on 2 sides of us. 1 mile that way is the school. No, 1 mile that way is the school, and a quarter mile that way is City Hall. So we're right downtown.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is nuts. Now, you are also a Christian man. Now, tell me, how does that come into play with the Kingdom Family Leader community?
Kingdom family leader. Kingdom is God's kingdom, and part of our prayers, part of my upbringing is God's kingdom come. Our Father who art in heaven is the Lord's prayer, and we pray that His kingdom come and be here. And as we look at a kingdom family leader, for me right now, that's Christian men who are married, have children, and they may lead only at home. They may lead at work by being awesome. They may lead at work with a title or being the business owner. And we have a community to support and build up those leaders with peer support through masterminds. And mastermind isn't a class or a teaching, it's a group of individuals coming together to support, nurture, challenge, and encourage one another. Kind of seeing the truth and knowing one another and building each other up into amazing humans that we can be.
I love that, especially in today's day and age. One of the things that I have actually loved about 2024 was, I'm not sure if you're aware, but pop music as a whole, I feel just completely transformed. There were many breakout artists, men singing about not being okay, right? Singing about it being hard to wake up in the morning, putting that message out there. And I think there's such a stigmatism out there that as a gentleman, as a male figure, you just have to take all this on and do it with not complaining, without having any reservation, without it being heavy. And I feel like it's been allowed to have that conversation started is just huge in the climate that we're in right now. So I love the fact that you are normalizing it, I would say, right?
Yeah, the
Putting a
stereo.
focus on it, putting an intent on it, putting a purpose on it, which I think is brilliant. Now you talked about the peer membership, sorry, the peer one-on-one relationship. What other resources or tools do you find are successful in this?
Really, it's getting full congruence within ourselves. I went into church the other day, and one of the guys, I was surprised because I'm so much online, but one of the men that I know said, "Oh, I watched your YouTube the other day, and it just touched me." I'm like, "You watched my YouTube?" He's like, I think my problem's isolation. I'm like, that's one of my messages that I
It
put.
is. It is.
But isolation is just the surface, right? You
Right.
said that in 2024, people are starting to come out and say, yeah, not everything's right inside. And I can say that. Um, but when I can't say that, what do? We isolate. We
Right.
block that off. I'm not ready to say that, like the example you gave. And that's really what it is. It's about being open to, I don't know why I'm isolating. I don't know why I'm doing this. I need to connect with people. And sometimes men can come in not ready and they can do one-on-one coaching. And I work through that and go, well, what, let's work through what's your secret struggle? What's your problem down? What's the core problem? What's the root cause? What is going on that makes you want to isolate, push away? What is the flaw in your leadership? And finding
That.
that
Well,
flaw and being able to
you say
connect and share
isolation
it.
is the enemy, right?
Yes, yes. Because that isolation, it's like, well, before I fell, I was on fire. I was the man. I was the leading coach in the area and ski racing, and I was so great, but I had a secret sin down inside, and that's just eating away at me, rotting me, until I came to came to Jesus moment in a way, and said, okay, this doesn't match my outward leadership. This secret struggle that I fight with doesn't match. And until I found that out, I was like praying, God, take the secret struggle away from me and I'll be perfect. And that's a completely flawed statement.
Right.
But at the
Right.
time, that's what I thought.
Well, what is perfection? Right. I mean, it's whatever you want it to be at that
It's
point. I always
imaginary.
say, as a divorced gentleman, I always say that it. I forgot what I said. See, that's what it is. Whew, you blew
Elusive.
my mind.
It's
Um,
elusive.
it is. It is. It's a perfection. It's what it means today could mean completely something different tomorrow, right? I mean, at the end of the day, a relationship is only defined by the people that are in it. The people that are outside of it don't understand what that relationship is or that dynamic. It's we're in a world that we get to create. So let's create what we want,
Yeah, let's create community.
right? I think another thing that's important to you, just from our previous conversation, are the connections, right? Because you do believe that we are better together, right?
Right.
So creating those connections is important. So what are some ways that you can feel that connection, or maybe you see that connection?
I think just I like to kill the statement, how are you doing? And find ways to, I've done it really horribly because people expect the answer, fine, good. Just go through the motions, go through the steps. And when I break it too hard, it's very offensive. But finding that way to find that middle ground of how am I doing? Do you have time to talk about that? Or are you just looking for good? So finding a way to
Right.
tactfully get that going and be able to create conversations. Really, it's about being a engaged listener. Like they say in Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, seek first to understand. So trying to really understand and reach out to people. Like
You
that
know,
guy
that's a
came to me
book.
at church.
That's a book for me that I have actually pulled out probably five, six different times. And I will say that each time I have pulled that book out, because I truly believe that once I get myself in the weeds and I don't feel, there's any way other than pulling myself out, I remind myself to go back to the basics. And that's one of my basic books. But again, each time I've pulled that out, I've gotten something different out of it that I didn't even see the previous time. So my mental state has changed or adapted or evolved or whatever terminology
Right.
you want to utilize. And I can find what I need at the time that I need it, which believe is the same thing with religion, right? At the end of the day, you can find what you need when you need it. And it's just there, right? It's that comfort, it's that standard per se.
Yeah, I think our intuition kind of drives that, kind of gets us, well, I know my unconscious knows what I need. My unconscious will protect me. And when I go back to a book, go back to the Bible, the seven habits, the church, whatever's, our intuition kind of evolves that. We get what we're looking for. And if we're looking for something, we're going to find it.
100%. 100%. Now, some of the things you believe is that you are getting better every day, right? And then again, we are better together. But more importantly, God can imagine a better way than we can. You
Right.
care to elaborate on that?
It was a sermon at church last year, actually. The pastor had us close our eyes and go, imagine something really better, way better, really your life, your wife, your home, your family better. Close your eyes and imagine that. And he really got us into it and said, that's nothing. That's tiny. That's small compared to how God can imagine it. And I'm like, wow. And somehow it just, my intuition was looking for it, maybe. I was just like wide open
You
to,
needed it. It was what
I
you needed to hear.
created this vision and 10x that, 100x that. It's like, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless against in how to create that, how to imagine that, how to go there. And the Bible says when two or more are gathered in his name, he is there amongst us. I think our intuition is really that voice of the Holy Spirit that's been given to Christians into their heart, mind, and soul. That, oh, for me, intuition is that God voice, that Holy Spirit speaking into everything. And I'm so busy doing and stuff that for the last few months I've really been working on listening and receiving because I can talk too much. I'm really good at it.
So, what would be some keywords, phrases that maybe someone would be thinking or saying out loud to someone that would think, we need to talk to Brian Seim. We need to put them together.
I think the simplest is it's happened 2 or 3 times in my life where it's like, I am doing everything right. I've got, I'm successful. I have money. Um, the kids are well, my wife's well, but I don't feel it. I don't feel successful. Part of my fall and my struggle was a sexual addiction that I was struggling with. Um, the reason I didn't say that earlier is really it's that connection of an internal struggle. Whether you share it with a friend, maybe you have a best friend. A lot of men don't have any. And that's part of that problem. That's part of that isolation barrier. But really, it's what is that little thing that whether you're really where you're really leading well, that you're like, oh yeah, but if they ever found out about,
Why is he?
but if
They
they
never
ever found
respect
out
me.
about, yeah,
Right.
if you ever have that
Right.
little itch, that little scratch, go to your best friend. Go find somebody to create and make into your best friend. In our mastermind formation process, you just start going and have coffee. Hey, Brian, let's go have coffee. And we just say, let's not do coffee chat and let's not do water cooler chat. Do you want to be real? And kind of have that conversation for a couple of weeks. And then say, hey, Brian, I think we can do more with a few more people. If you know somebody and I know somebody, maybe we can get them to join us for coffee and protect that context of this is not Facebook. This is not
Right.
good, look good, Bill. This is four guys getting together. And then repeat one more time. You got 8. That's a good core for a mastermind group. A group of men that can come in and say, I just yelled at Mary last night about her schoolwork. She's 16 and I'm doing it all wrong. And the guys can come together and say, well, what happened? Talk through it
Right.
and really dig into the failures. And hey, I just sold my company for $10 million and we're just really ecstatic. We're having a blast. And to celebrate together. When you're that leader that's isolated and alone because you have that secret struggle in the back of your head, you don't celebrate with anybody. You don't have any support because society says you've got it all figured out. You know what's going on. You're successful. Keep leading. When the truth is, we're never fully congruent. We're never fully matched top to bottom until we're with Christ.
Mm. Powerful words. With Christ. Powerful words. Well, that is a wrap. Is there any last message that you want to leave our lovely listeners with?
Man, you stole it. It's we are better together.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are better together.
We
And if
are
you
better
aren't
together.
reaching up with somebody and learning, growing, and coming alongside them, and if you're not extending down to somebody to encourage, touch, and affect, what's the point?
Agreed. Hmm. On that note, we have 20-ish questions that we are going to ask. Inquiring minds want to know. Are you ready for this? Because these are very, very important questions. Okay.
I've been anticipating this with
I
excitement
know everybody
from the
is.
introduction.
This is the only reason people come onto the show is just to get these 20 questions. Okay. Question one: wine or beer?
Yuck.
Okay. Fair. Question two: going out or staying in?
Going out.
Train or plane?
Wow. Usually plane, but the
Okay.
train definitely has some benefits.
Okay. And do you like to cook or are you doing the dishes?
I like to cook.
Okay. Vacations: do lots of things or vacation do nothing?
Float.
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 Movie theater or streaming service?
That's a bridge one. We're sitting on that one there. We have date night tonight, and I'm like, the kids are all in a sleepover. So it might be streaming.
Streaming works too. You could set up, have some popcorn, heck of a lot cheaper, right? You can even have whatever you want. So I would go streaming, set it up nicely.
Those theater seats
Amusement,
are getting better. The theater
right?
seats are getting better.
Amusement parks or like a regular metro park where you can hike, bike, walk.
Metro Park.
We have the best metro parks up here in Toledo. There are probably about 6 or 7 that are my absolute favorite for different things, from kayaking to dog walking to sightseeing to people watching to running. We are so fortunate that our metro parks here are just amazing. Sporting event, Brian, or a music concert?
Music concert.
Okay.
I do my
Beach.
sports. I don't watch them.
You don't watch sports? That's okay. Beach or pool?
Beach. The
Reading
kids
a
love
book or listening to music?
reading a book.
Hmm. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Dog or cat?
Not.
Not. Okay, fair enough.
But
Uh,
we have a dog.
okay. Going out to dinner or cooking a meal together?
Cooking a meal together.
I already know the answer to this one already. Summer or winter?
Now, just to mess with you.
Which
Summer.
one? Summer. I
Okay.
figured summer. Just because of your, we didn't discuss it. I read it in your bio, all these activities that were more summer focused. So
Sailing,
I
yes.
probably kind of cheated.
Sailing's a big one.
Cruise or resort?
Resort.
I've never done a resort. I've always done cruises. Um, have you done a resort?
Not exactly.
Okay. Well, then I guess we could do one together, Brian.
There we go.
uh, Day trip or stay on the couch?
Stay on the couch.
While you're staying on the couch, are you eating French toast or waffles?
Waffles.
Oh, rain or snow?
Snow.
Okay, now this is the very most important one and actually decides whether or not we're going to move forward with any type of relationship. Okay. Apple product or Android?
Apple.
It was great talking to you, Brian. Be well. Oh, we were so close.
We were
We
there. We
were
were
so close.
right on the edge of it.
Well, listen, you have been a pleasure. I appreciate you taking some time out, hanging out with me, just talking, right? Doing what we want to do, being able to be free, be open, and more importantly, connecting those communities together. So, folks, if you need some ears, some shoulders, Brian's the gentleman that you're going to want to talk to, right? So his information will be down below in the contact information. You can reach him out at his website, social media platforms. Brian, anything else you want to say before we head out of here, my friend?
Don't be alone. Reach out and connect.
Don't be alone because isolation is the what?
Enemy.
The enemy. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your energy. Thanks so much. See you next week. Take care.